It was a shocking pass, wasn't it, from Michael Monaghan.
This is the one.
He was doing the dummy runaround with the fullback Chris Bridge, and it just went behind him. Nothing wrong there. It doesn't go anywhere near. He's onside. Don't think he has his foot over the whitewash, and I think this will be given. This will be a try. Kept his composure, didn't he, Whiting?
Just got to check the touchline now, I think.
I think it's okay. I think Calderwood has done exceptionally well here. That's a-okay. That'll be positive.
Hull City, I understand, have thrown themselves a lifeline today in the Premier League. And I think here, Mark Calderwood, with neat and fancy footwork, has created the try for Richard Whiting.
And it all came about by the bad error. The fancy run around. This will be confirmation. It is. And the black and white fans go absolutely berserk here at the KC Stadium.
Well, 3 in a row now for Richard Whiting. 3 tries in succession. And prior to today, it was 3 in the last 5. He came back at Easter after a year out, but that was not the best pass from Monaghan.
No, you could see that he just was nowhere near the recipient, Chris Bridge. Calderwood keeps his cool, neat bit of footwork, and what about the pickup from Whiting? Super. Come around. He wasn't there. Went behind him. Great stuff. Look at this from Calderwood. Didn't panic. Oh, beautiful. What a start.
Great try from Whiting. Will tickle out the extras. Yes, he will. Hull FC 6, Warrington 0.
Eddie, the error wasn't as much a problem as the response. When you see the ball go to ground, it's the black and white jerseys who, over the next 2 seconds, work hard and move quicker to turn that into a chance. There were enough Warrington players within position to do something about that, but they didn't respond quickly enough.
Well, Mark Calderwood there in your screen, who was taken to Australia in the World Cup by that man Tony Smith for England. He made his 250th career appearance a couple of weeks ago in Scotland at the Magic Weekend. But that was neat and fancy footwork down that right touchline. As I say, Hull City haven't seen much better skill than that this year. Tremendous stuff from him. Here is Ewan Dowes now for Hull, who certainly seem to have started the brighter.
They're looking strong as well, utilising the forwards, trying to suck in this Warrington outfit, but it just shows you that if you're going to... Oh, great offload!
Wonderful ball from Tickle. Here is Jody Broughton, and Jody Broughton gets the second try for Hull. 2 tries inside 2 minutes for the black and whites. The pass from Danny Tickle was worth the admission money alone. He bumped through the first tackle and then got it round the man. And Jody Broughton on a lone spell from the Leeds Rhinos. He knows where the try lane is. Look at that, though.
Great stuff. Human knew exactly who was outside on that left. No one to go anywhere near him. Jody Broughton, he'll have enjoyed that. And the black and white fans would have enjoyed this. What a superb piece of play by Tickle. Human, professional through and through. And the youngster, he knew exactly what position he should be in, and he knew where to fly. Sucker punch straight away after the Whiting try. Just what the doctor ordered if you're a Hull FC fan.
Well, Jody Broughton knows where the try line is. He got 3 tries for Leeds Rhinos in the pre-season friendly on Boxing Day against the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats. And he's just shown a clean pair of heels to the Warrington defence. Carvel returns to a chorus of boos. It's been an expensive 10 minutes in the bin. Warrington have conceded 2 tries, and in a moment they'll be 12-0 down, because Tickle normally doesn't miss these. 12-0 it is. And the Warrington Wolves with work to do.
Warrington's defence all over the shop. Look at that. 2 men going for Tickle. Then when the other one comes towards him, look at the huge gap. Human straight through. Nothing that they can do about that. Richie Mathers at full back. He had to go for the man, and that was Human. And Broughton in for the try. He'll be pleased, Richard Agar. Been an up and down season so far, wonderful start. And then they just had a little bit of a dip in form, but a 12-point lead. Warrington have to dig deep.
Jamie Thackeray is playing like a man possessed at the moment. Quarter of an hour, and they are ahead by 12 points to nil. Inside the second half, it's 22-14 to the Catalan Dragons against the Saints.
Eddie, this is a really interesting test to see just how good Hull are. 12 points is nothing in rugby league, but when you get to 18, it will apply a massive amount of pressure to the Warrington side. Can Hull maintain their intensity and skill level to exert the influence they're having on the game? Good kick through.
Riley collects it though for Warrington. Riley operating on the wing today, at least that's where he was named. And he certainly was on the wing on that occasion. Here now is Harrison once more. There is Chris Riley. He can score some magnificent tries. 4 tries in as many games in the past month for Chris Riley.
Just going back to Jody Broughton, Ed, he's a player who's obviously on loan from Leeds to Hull, and he's had to see some of his teammates about the same age, a little bit older, a little bit younger, progress, and he hasn't, and he's been patient. He's an outstanding professional, and if there's ever a kid that's worked hard to get where he is, it's Jody Broughton.
Up goes the up and under from Lee Breers. Who wants this? Richard Horn does, that's who.
Great take under pressure. You can see Richie Mathers a little bit frightened to get involved before his feet hit the deck. Super stuff. But at least they've got themselves into a good position. Can they hold the black and white out? It's been good, hard, solid work from the forwards. As Eddie has mentioned, Jamie Thackeray working overtime.
There he is again. A bit of a swinging arm there from Ben Harrison as well. Good job that Thackeray ducked underneath it. Oh, first mistake from Hull, I think, from Kirk Yeaman.
Just took his eyes off the football, looking at where he was going to run, who was coming to him. It happens even at the top class professional level. Golden opportunity now for Warrington to apply some sort of pressure.
Yes, this scrum goes down, as you see, 10 metres inside the Hull half of the field. And this now is Vinnie Anderson.
Well, we saw the first action, the first move that Warrington put on, and it was a shocking pass, wasn't it, from Monaghan to Chris Bridge, who went behind him, created the try.
This is Clark, and he gets it away to Anderson.
Move! Hold! Go.
Plays the ball, and this is Monaghan again. Wide it goes, and well, that's the second pass from Monaghan that has, well, that one found the touch judge. He was looking for Chris Riley. He had a wow of a game last week, apparently in the Cup at Featherstone.
Yeah, all praise from his coach, Tony Smith, but I'm afraid there weren't much passing on the back after that one. That's the second really bad pass.
You know, sometimes that you say, why do wingers overrun the ball? Do you think there's a case there that Riley was too deep? I think there's nothing wrong with the pass. Riley wasn't there to take it, though, Eddie.
Well, he'd have to be about 7'4" to get anywhere near it.
What I'm saying is, had he been flatter, I know you don't like to see wingers flatter, but that flat pass there enables him to score. Otherwise, Calderwood had time to readjust, get back into position, and perhaps tackle Riley.
But he has to be behind his centre. I think you'll find his centre were just slightly in front of him, and he can't be in front of him, Phil.
It was a bad pass, simple.
Thomas Lee. This now Ewan Dowes. Warrington getting in there in numbers in the tackle.
It's obvious Richard Agar said, look, we can penetrate and sort of get down outside on their three-quarter line, but we've got to do the hard work down the middle first. That's what they've done.
Last tackle, and Thomas Lee.
Poor.
Straight down the throat of Chris Riley.
You know, once they've kicked it to Bridge, twice it's now gone to Riley on long kicks downfield. I've been more tempted to kick it to Richie Mathers, actually, who's not had a lot of game time at this level. And Bridge and Riley are excellent on kick returns.
This is Louis Anderson. There's Richard Mathers.
On the mark.
Starting to make an impression in the Warrington first team. He came, of course, to Warrington as part of the Martin Gleeson deal that took Gleeson to Wigan. Here is a penalty for the Warrington Wolves.
Well, a quick tap is what they really want. And they've done that. They want to get on with it very, very quickly. They've got to get good field position, but making sure that their handling and their passing improves by about 70%.
Matty Blythe just on for Ben Harrison. Plays the ball here to John Clark. They come down the right side with Breers. Breers found Mathers. Mathers found Vinnie Anderson. Here is Bridge. He's gone through Tickle's tackle, but he couldn't get through Peter Cusack. Clark back to Breers, who had to stretch for that. And Breers, well, he was waiting for someone to come and support, I think.
He was looking for the second phase, but no one was coming back, neither on the angle or straight.
Clark again. That's Carvel. Gareth Carvel is forced back by the sheer weight of numbers. Last tackle here for Warrington.
Breers kick, surely.
Well, there it is, and it bounces off a foot, but is picked up by Richard Horn.
Not the best from Lee Breers. They're really out of touch. Warrington just are not at the races at the moment. Bit of a lethargic kick there from the standoff.
Thackeray again making good yards forward.
Well, I was under the impression perhaps that Thackeray would be coming off after 20 minutes, and I think that is exactly what they're doing now.
Yes,
what
Paul
an effort
King.
he's had.
Paul King's waiting for him. He's had a great 21 minutes. Thackeray comes off to great applause from the black and white supporters.
And fully deserved.
King is on. This is the last tackle, and Thomas Lee is running with it. Now he gets the kick away.
And that's their best kick, and even though it was a rushed one, it's hit terra firma. Chase is good, and a good result.
Chase led by Danny Tickle, who got Chris Riley to the ground. Here is Chris Bridge.
Well, this Warrington outfit, you can throw a dustbin lid over the top of them. I mean, look at them there. They've got the football in the attack, and they're all bunched. Lack of coordination. They're not talking. They're giving away a penalty. This will help them immensely. Well, Tony Smith, the Warrington coach, has got to get the message out. Say, hey, come on, fellas. This is the incident there. Tickle obviously had a hand on the football.
I'll tell you what he won't be happy with. A big part of his coaching philosophy is people pushing into the next hole, taking flies away from the ball carrier. And so far, Warrington aren't doing that. They're not helping one another out.
Go.
Clark, short ball, Carvel taking on Tickle.
First.
Well, that's about the best charge that we've seen from the Warrington forwards.
He's on his own, though, Steve-O.
Here's Morley. Can he give a bit of support? Doing his best.
2. Move.
Now it's Clark. Here is Monaghan. Louis Anderson, short ball, and a try for Warrington from Griggs. And round the back of the post he goes. And Simon Griggs, he gets the try for Warrington, that's greeted almost silently here because there's only a tiny knot of Warrington supporters away to the left-hand side. Not many of them have made the long journey across.
Beautiful offload. Absolutely superb. Back on the inside. He positioned himself superbly, did Griggs. Anderson just allowed it to roll across his body. That was a good effort. The first time, really, that the handling has stuck. But the position from this fellow was outstanding. And so was the delayed pass by Anderson.
Simon Griggs, a Super League debut for Warrington at Castleford in April 2006. And he's son of Mansfield marksman's Wayne Griggs, who played for Mansfield in the 1980s. He's put Warrington back in the hunt here because Bridge has added the extras. Hull still ahead, though, by 12 points to 6.
It's all a matter of pulling him out. You can see that the centre, Richard Whiting, number 14, he's left an enormous gap, but it was a superb pass, and it wasn't a bad step either.
Well, Warrington normally travel in great numbers. They did to Edinburgh, and I understand that they did to Featherstone last week. They've got a big trip coming up to Barcelona, of course, when the Catalan Dragons entertain the Warrington Wolves later in the summer, and they have to come back up here in a fortnight's time for a Challenge Cup quarter-final. That was off the chest of Monaghan. Referee read that perfectly. This is Carvel again.
Was not going to be influenced by the scream from the home crowd. Riley Sows, an experienced referee, Steve Ganson.
Oh, here's another penalty for Warrington. It's evened itself up now. He caned Warrington early, and now he's giving Hull the rounds of the kitchen, the referee.
Well, I think the message has to get out someday that this turtling, trying to turn them over, all the referees are penalising them. I don't even why they even want to practice it at training. They just give away penalties.
Is it a disease that the Super League players have caught from down under?
Yes.
40% of all penalties in rugby league are for interference around the play of the ball, so it is the biggest problem in the game if you think that penalties are a problem.
I think they are, don't you?
You're right there, Eddie. But if you're receiving plenty your way, you're not going to be arguing with it.
Clark again. Oh, and he misses out Breers. I don't think he meant to. Monaghan attacking the line, has been missed by two. And Riley manages to hang on to that somehow and steals away from trouble. Calderwood comes back for a second snap. Last tackle here for Warrington. It's with Breers. He kicks it wide, looking for Bridge. And another kick to the wing from Lee Breers is a bit too high.
Just hasn't got the radar right, has he? He's dipping at the moment there.
Okay, mate.
Juggled it well, didn't he, Riley? Looked for all the world that he was going to give away a knock on.
First.
Now, importantly, as far as Warrington's concerned, they've got to make sure that they just try to keep the black and whites well into their own quarter. But the way that the whole pack have been working hard, they've been finding that advantage line with ease.
St Helens back in the hunt in Perpignan, 22-20. Here it's 12-6. Warrington back in the hunt here. King.
4. Move.
That was Danny Houghton at dummy half, and the kick downfield is a good one. It's turned them around. Mathers allows Bridge to take control.
First. Move.
Ben Westwood's the dummy half for Warrington here. And that's Vinnie Anderson trying to drive it further forward. Breers now. Infield to Westwood again. Westwood, the Warrington player, with Adrian Morley and his club coach and national coach Tony Smith's elite squad that was announced on Thursday.
Again, strong defence, and he's feeling the effort, isn't he, Ben Westwood? He's got through a lot of work.
This is Paul Wood.
Surely get plenty of height on this.
Last tackle here. No, Breers decides to go for a little bit of craft instead, and Broughton is calm enough to allow that to run dead in goal. Broughton wants to get on with it. Referee allows it.
Go.
Here goes Calderwood.
2. Move.
Houghton. Ball then to Dominic Maloney,
Third.
the former Dewsbury prop forward. Maloney. He showed up well on Sky last year in our coverage of the National League, and here he is now in Super League with the Black and Whites.
Good tackle.
Now it's the Championship.
Good tackle by Lee Breers there, right low, and that wasn't a bad one from Westwood, was it? That was crunch time. Thorman felt that.
He lined Thorman up then, didn't he? Kick down the line was from number 15 Washbrook, and it just trickled its way over the sideline.
Well, it looked a feeble attempt, but really it's turned out okay. This is the big hit from Westwood. As we said earlier, Thorman would have felt that, but Washbrook quite happy just to dink it in, get it over the whitewash, just settle things down.
All right. Okay.
And to be fair, it's not a bad tactic when you think of the amount of error that Warrington have come up with in the passing department.
Matty Blythe now for Warrington. Interesting about Danny Washbrook, playing with 15 on his back. He's started the last 21 at standoff, including last year's Challenge Cup final. Danny Washbrook. Mathers gets the ball away to Louis Anderson. Nicky Hyam, as you see, has come on. The change at dummy half for Warrington. Monaghan flicks the ball up to Paul Rauhihi. Well,
what on earth was he trying to do there? Why did he want to offload? They get into a good position where they could go kick and chase. Rauhihi has just presented his opposition with the football. and that should be a penalty.
And it is. Mickey Hyam trying to steal the ball from King.
Well, there was 2 men in attendance at the time that he was trying to snatch it.
What do you want? 2.
Even though he pulled away from it, we will state that if someone's been involved to start with, and that's it was always being dragged away by this fella. Interesting to see in this modern day that
All right, mate. Okay, I'll tell him.
combination of 2 hookers, of course, Hull. You start with Thomas Lee and then Danny Houghton. Well, I must say has been impressive over the past couple of weeks, and we all know the quality, don't we, of Mickey Hyam and John Clark.
Running repairs for Chris Thorman. I wonder if it's a legacy of that last big hit
Yes,
by Mr. Westwood.
yes.
Clark off the field.
This is not a bad option either, Ed. He's, you know, with Tickle, okay, he missed that considerably easy penalty attempt early in the game. I think he'll be more comfortable with this, especially with the 12-6 scoreline.
And Westwood just having a look at the angle that Tickle has to shoot at.
Start back on.
Here comes Tickle, then left-footed. He adds extras to the whole total, 14-6, which means now, of course, that Warrington have to score twice to get the lead.
Well, Tony Smith will get the message out to Paul Rahi. The first time he touched the ball, what does he do? Twists in the tackle within his own half and offers up the possession to the black and whites. It's intelligent.
Tremendous when it comes off, but it's not so clever when it doesn't.
You try and put yourself in his shoes. He's been sat on the subs bench for 25 minutes. He's told there's an image that you've got to go on and make an impact. He knows that his greatest strength is to turn in the tackle and offload the ball, and yet he's selected to do it at the wrong time and plays under pressure. But I reckon there must be a real frustration for a lot of players who have to start for 20 minutes sitting on the bench waiting to get into the action.
Well, you could have a point there, Phil, but as I say, possession is so important.
St Helens ahead in the south of France, 26-22. Catalan Dragons, of course, trying to do themselves a favour today, and also the black and whites, because if they manage to beat St Helens, they will keep Saints off the top of the table, and it's Hull Kingston Rovers who occupy pole position at the moment.
Well, they'll be hoping, eating frogs' legs, I would imagine, on the other side of the city here. The French outfit can pull off that win.
Some nice French restaurants in the city of Kingston upon Hull.
Stand up!
And talking of French restaurants, Tony Smith might be seeing the inside of one or two in Paris, perhaps, if England get what would be an expected but a good win against the French in Paris, in the capital city, in June. It's a match that, of course, prepares for the Four Nations tournament, the back end of this year, which will be live on Sky Sports.
Well, it'll be exciting, that's for sure, with the French coach, Bobby Goulding. He'll certainly have them fired up, that's
There's
for sure.
the offload from Rauhihi. That's what he does well when it sticks. Breers. Mathers will hoist the high kick.
Oh, it's a good one.
Well played by Richard Horne.
A lot of people raised their eyebrows when he requested to his coach, Richard Agar, that he'd like to not play in the half-back position, but put me at full-back. Gives him a lot of space to certainly inject himself into the three-quarter line, but he's very solid in that defence and defusing the bomb.
Width given to the play by Thorman. Here is Broughton again.
Well, to say Hull have got so many injuries, they really have acquitted themselves exceptionally well and fully deserve the 14-6 lead.
Go.
Yes, they look the team more likely to at the moment, don't they? Another good run there from Danny Houghton, who really did come to prominence last year, the 20-year-old. Thorman came to prominence a little bit before then. That's a great kick. That's a great kick. Mathers had a little fumble at it. Everyone's onside, said the referee. Great chase from Kirk Yeaman. Here is Riley. Warrington with work to do to get out of danger here.
Wonderful defence out there on that right-hand side by Hull. Oh, what a tackle. Bang.
That was tremendous from Maloney and King. Here goes Paul Wood, buying a bit more ground forward. Look at this. Oh, stopped dead in his tracks.
Hold. Go.
4 tackles gone, 16 metres made forward. Rauhihi, not much more made forward.
You can trace the uplift there to Mark Calder was chased on the kick. He was actually playing on the right wing, but chased a kick down the left-hand side of the field, and he really enthused his teammates.
And the kick from Briers is fielded on the full by Richard Horn. Just stuttered a little bit in the run forwards.
Move.
Briers back in the Warrington ranks today. He has missed the last 2 with hamstring problems.
2.
And I think it's showing as well, his kicking game has not been up to scratch.
Go.
And a couple of the passes, especially from his half-back partner as well, Michael Monaghan, have been astray.
Hold. Go.
Maloney plays the ball. Here's Houghton again. Paul King takes over. It's the ball to
4.
Richard Horn.
Move.
Who got a clatter early on from Gareth Carvell, but looks none the worse for his experience so far. That's the last tackle
5.
on Thorman for Hull. And here is Tickle. Down the line he goes again.
That'll do.
Just turning Warrington round, aren't they? Just turning the screw.
Hull seem content just to keep knocking those sets out. The percentage players get it into touch. Let's play Warrington at their end of the pitch, and as we've seen before, Warrington are likely to try to break that defensive pattern by throwing that miracle pass. They're just very tight, Hull. Everything's back up the middle. A lot of drop-offs, a lot of inside passes, making those big men work.
Good lad. Out.
It was Matty Blythe who picked the ball up at the back of the scrum. Here is the try scorer, Simon Grix.
Hold. Go.
Blythe again. But he'll be forced back towards his own line. He's looking appealingly at his fellow players there for a little bit of help and support. Rauhihi gets it away again. That was Hyam onto Blythe once more. He's been clattered. Now that's round the neck by Danny Tickle, but not seen by the official.
Go.
Westwood. And clattered 3 times in quick succession there. Matty Blythe looks all right.
And put full credit to this whole defence. They're not allowing Warrington getting anywhere near the advantage line, and they're winning the battle out there up front.
There's a lot of intensity in the defensive efforts, a lot of intensity, and you have to credit the whole defensive line and the brave carries from Warrington.
Oh, Broughton was allowed to go almost unchallenged then. A good job that Westwood was there. He'll play the ball to Horn. Briers stops him.
We looked at one point there that Briers was going to snatch it. Hyam came in, finished the full-back off.
Houghton to Yeeman.
3rd. Move.
Houghton again. Rauhihi nearly got to him.
Move.
The 2 ends of the spectrum there. Rauhihi, who is 35, and Danny Houghton, who's 20. Rauhihi coming to the end of his career. Houghton just starting his.
Move. Go.
Thorman, Tickle, good hands. Richard Horn down the line, looking for Jody Broughton again.
Well, it's just like turning it backwards and forwards on the replay, isn't it? Just coming down on this left-hand side. Problems there for Richard Horn. Went down awkward. But again, tactics. Richard Agar said, let's just keep pumping it down. Frustrating for Warrington, because they're finding it difficult to get anywhere near the halfway line. So when it comes to the last tackle, now is this going to be a real big problem? Trying to run it off.
I think they'll try and ask him to stay on for a minute and a half up to half-time and see how he goes, so as they don't perhaps waste one of their 12 interchanges. Meanwhile, Vinnie Anderson for Warrington.
First. Move.
The youngsters are doing well, though, for Hull tonight.
Very impressive.
Blythe for Warrington.
I expected a little bit more fire and determination from the visiting side, Warrington. And there's plenty to do when Tony Smith gets him in the dressing room at half-time.
On the Hull side, no idea. There's only 3 teams in the league scored fewer points than them this season. It wasn't going to be a high-scoring affair. They had to grind out to win, and they've done the first half of it here. They've contained their opponents for most of this first half.
Monaghan with a long ball finds Briers, then he goes short to Westwood, who in turn finds Anderson. Oh, that was almost forward to Bridge. That's a great tackle. That's a wonderful defensive tackle from Kirk Yeeman.
Perfect execution. Eye on the target, straight round the thighs, slip down to the ankles, and the momentum will do the rest. Superb.
Yeah, copybook stuff from Kirk Yeaman. He needs one try for 100 with Hull. He had a trial disallowed by the video referee, you might remember, at Salford recently on Sky Sport. But Richard Horne is still out there trying to see out time up to half-time.
First. Move.
9
Hold.
seconds remaining.
Go.
How will it be a kick and chase? No, it won't, because he slipped.
Move.
That might be it. It is it. That's half-time, and Hull FC are ahead by 14 points to 6. A good 40 minutes for Richard Agar's men.